Good morning, good afternoon, fellow shareholders and friends and family. Glad you could join us today on this Saturday. We appreciate your time, and we're going to try to make this as short as possible. We're looking to get this done within 30 minutes or less. Okay? We appreciate your time on this weekend. Okay. So I'm Gary Nerlinger, you know who I am, and I'm with the GEM Shareholder Action Committee. And what we're going to do today is multitask and multifold. Number one, what we're going to go through is not only for the benefit of the shareholders. It's for the benefit of the adversaries of the shareholders, because they're going to be facing multiple suits very, very shortly. A massive derivative suit by the shareholders, a federal securities fraud suit brought by a multitude of shareholders for the frauds that James Massa and the board and others have committed against all of us shareholders. And now they've added a massive slander and defamation suit that I and my attorneys are bringing against all of them for the lies and slanders and outrageous lies that they've put in writing. So we're going to keep them very busy in court for the rest of their lives. And of course, they're going to be facing a massive criminal prosecution. I met with the SEC a week ago, spent 4 hours with them going through the whole thing with them. And we'll talk about their lies and malfeasance and the reason they're doing this. One of the questions that I've always posed to everyone after going through this with them and with all of you is, why would a group of very smart, very wealthy individuals, such as the board of directors who have done this, why would they have done this? And there's only one reason. It's massive greed, and they thought they could get away with it. Okay? So we're going to clarify some facts. All right? Now, James Masson, the board of directors, stated for the Chapter 7 vote on May 14th, that the shareholders voted for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which posted in favor of the Chapter 7 and with a legal quorum. Neither are true. And as stated in their own words, the vote did not have a legal quorum and the vote failed. We have that recorded on tape, and it will be used against them in all of the litigation. It should be noted that the board of directors all resigned in writing in the beginning of June. They sent that email to everyone, and they have no controlling interest or ability in GEM or the Chapter 7 going forward, or over any shareholder whatsoever. They are only trying to misrepresent the truth and misrepresent the facts. Why? It's obvious they have lost, and they want to discourage any shareholders like they've been trying to do all along, and confuse shareholders in any form and manner. We have the facts, and it's being provided to the court system as it's been provided to our legal counsel. For the benefit of everyone, including our adversaries right now, here is James Massa regarding the May 14th vote. And again, all of the overwhelming evidence, including GLB, the recordings, videos, confessions, everything has been turned over to the SEC. And now here's James Massa regarding the result of the May 14th vote.
Anybody else is in the queue? Once. Okay. I think our vote is complete. We're going to close out the vote. So, look, Matt. Oh, that's interesting. So, the total in favor of the Chapter 7 is less than the number of votes needed at the beginning of the meeting to approve. And the total against Chapter 7 is the total number of votes needed at the beginning of the meeting to approve. There were 30 million plus shares represented, over 15 million shares needed to vote, and for any vote to be approved, and neither side had 15 million shares. So that I would read as the motion to file Chapter 7 does not pass, and I would then ask let me just ask Matt Morganelli, do you read those numbers the same way?
Yes.
And Eddie, do you read those numbers the same way?
Yes, I'm looking at them right now. Yes, it is.
Okay. So the vote for Chapter 7 does not pass. What I would do is there will be a board meeting on Thursday, the 23rd. If anyone has a bona fide plan on how to address the funding needs of gig entertainment,
You all heard Mr. Massa regarding the vote not passing. 2 days later, they arbitrarily, capriciously, and without any legal basis said, voila, like magic, it passed. That is their MO with everything. They tried to ram a fraudulent bankruptcy down our throats by concocting completely fraudulent, fabricated nonsense. And now they're going to pay the price. And by the way, for the last 6 to 8 months, the GEM Shareholder Action Committee, well, we haven't been sitting on our butts. We've employed excellent legal counsel from the very beginning to explore and prove and investigate and prove more invested and spent about $110,000 already in legal fees to explain and prove and lay it all out there. This is the day of reckoning. We don't really have to dive into their garbage pit and explain ourselves. That'll be put all in front of the courts. But for the benefit of everyone, we're going to quickly run through some recordings for their benefit and yours and put this to bed and move on, because we are done with this. Okay? So the other day, after their most recent outrageous email, slander, and defamation, we sent out questions. So let's go through those questions. The questions stated very quickly, why are these people identifying themselves as the board of directors when they notified the GEM shareholders in writing they formally resigned from that position in June 2019? The answer is they're desperate, they have an ulterior motive, they want to confuse people, and they would like to stop us from going after them. But they have failed, and they cannot stop us from going after them. We are going after them. They cannot stop us. Why are these people posing as the board of directors and having anything to do with the shareholders? Same answer. They're desperate. They have an ulterior motive. They're trying to confuse people. Why did they form GLB in January 2019 and then attempt to deprive the shareholders of our valuable assets in December of 2019? Well, that's their whole game plan. They're trying to steal our assets. And now they're desperate because they've lost, and they're trying to confuse and somehow think they're going to stop us in our tracks, which they will not, they cannot, and we're moving forward with a new company which is completely debt-free with an enhanced and advanced technology. And why are they so intent on stopping the shareholders from protecting their investments by forming a new company? Again, the same answers. Same answers for all those questions. They do not have the shareholders' best interest at heart. And why are they trying so hard to confuse people with scare tactics? They're desperate, and they're panicking. It's just that simple. They're acting desperately, and they're extremely afraid of something. They're afraid of our derivative suit, our securities fraud action suit, the slander suit, and criminal prosecution. Those are the answers. Hold on one second, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, there are some investors who are having a difficult time getting in on the call. We don't know why. So we're looking into that right now. Hold on one second. I just want to intercede. Okay, I have a question. Is everyone having a problem getting in on the call?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently there are some people that are having difficulty getting in the call. I do not know why. The instructions are clear. Try again. If for any reason, somebody cannot get in on the call, it's being recorded. So I just don't know. I just don't know why. So we're going to continue. Okay. I appreciate your patience. Thank you. So we have some guests that we're bringing in right now before we move on. Number one is we have Lyle Gilman, and hopefully the technology is working fine. Lyle, are you able to get in?
Can you hear me, Gary?
Yes, we have Lyle with us.
Okay, so this is just a short statement. And to those people who cannot get into the call, we always provide the replay immediately after the call, so no problem, right, Gary?
No problem.
Okay, so as a member of the GEM Shareholders Action Committee, I have devoted the last year to fighting for the shareholders, myself included as one, to expose the truth and receive justice from those GEM officers, James Massa, and the board of directors who tried and failed to destroy us with the lies and deception. We live in a country where facts and truth should trump over lies. Where simply making totally unfounded claims is just not allowed. Truth matters and lies must be punished. That's why we are proceeding to the courts. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Lyle. Appreciate it greatly. I know there was another gentleman was trying to get in, and apparently he may or may not be having an issue. So let's go to Bill Freeman. Bill, are you with us today?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. So
thank you very much, Gary. As Lyle said, I am also a member of the Action Committee, and I'll make this as brief as I can. We've all lost our original investments because of a very few people that are now sending out these emails filled with all this misleading, fraudulent, all these statements. The only possible reason has to be that they are now desperate people, as Gary has said. And they are trying to divide us. They do not have your back. They do not care one iota about anything except saving themselves from all the legal actions. That's why I am part of this action committee, and I hope that you all stay on the right side of this fight with us. And we pledge as an action committee, as we have for the last year, we pledge to do our best to cover your backs. Thank you. I'll give it back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, and I'm getting, just so everyone knows, I'm getting emails in from various, shareholders that are stating they're having some technical difficulty. It's a few of them, but we'll get on through this, and they'll have the benefit of the information and the recording anyway. So as always, we march on, right? So we can literally put on 20, 30, 40, 50, shareholders and talk all day long. Hundreds. And that's what is ready to testify against them in federal court. Well, we're not going to do that, obviously, today. We're going to go through what we have to do. It's 12:22. We want to make this as fast as possible. Okay? So we went through the questions. You heard James Massa. Now we're going to play another tape of James Massa regarding the debt. Mr. Massa stated in February when he was touting how everything was so great just before we were going to go public, and I'm going to tell you that we have affidavits. There were people that are shareholders that are advising us and in writing that Massa was calling them to have them wire funds in January and February, stating they were on the verge of going public. You have to send the money in right now, double down. It's imminent. And then a week later, bang, March 6th, they sought bankruptcy. We all know what you call that. Okay? So we're doing this for the benefit of everyone today. So here goes Mr. Massa regarding the debt on February, in the end of February, regarding how low and manageable it was.
You going to say something? Yeah, I was going to just add that the top portion of this creditor listing, really the top 6 or 7 make up the majority of the debt. And it's the sport teams that we did some media-type billboard advertising with. And they've been really good and worked with us. We've restructured that debt, is what the investment bankers are asking us to do. And we've restructured it so we pay a very small amount now on a monthly basis. And then we take the majority of what's owed, and we don't have to pay that until we have a public event. Then some of the funds that the company would receive in a public event, going public, would be set aside to be able to pay the creditors. So that's the ideal structure for us.
So there's James Massa stating in February that there is not a debt problem, that it is a low monthly payment, and we provided to you that February financial webinar which showed, and it's part of the library of 50 plus emails that are there for you, sitting, you all have them within the first 5 emails. If anyone wants to, we sent it to you, but it's all there. And it was in the February financial webinar when he stated that on a monthly basis, it added up to about $70,000 a month, and they were bringing in $400,000 a month. Plus, they had a $3 million term sheet we thought they had. Plus, they stated that the board was so impressed with the financial condition in January in an email, and all this is in all the documentation that was sent to you, that the board committed to be paying January, February, and March all of the monthly payables, including the monthly debt, which was $60,000, $70,000 a month. So if it's $60,000, $70,000 a month, and the rest of it got paid out of the IPO that was supposedly coming up in March or April, which they advised the shareholders that was happening, where's there a debt problem? And he just stated there isn't a debt problem. For the record, on a low monthly payable, and the rest gets paid out of the IPO. Enough said. They'll be dealing with this in all their court cases. We're going to move on to the next subject. The next subject is the Selfio Code. as for the self-PO code, our counsel is in communication with the trustee to discuss whether or not there is any desire to make any bid, and if it still has any value to us, because we are not only recreating all of it, but it's significantly improved substantially, so the old code does not have the value to us that it did back in January or February or March, and they were supposed to make all the adjustments and enhancements that they were supposed to. And the fact that they just wrote that the former board of directors, who have now fraudulently conveyed to everyone that they are now still the board of directors in this fraudulent email that they just sent out on Thursday and Tuesday, they wrote that it's not a viable product. So if it's not a viable product, the trustee is sitting on something that I guess they're not going to bid on, and no one would bid on. And the trustee wants to give it to us. So we want to thank them. We want to thank the board for making that claim, because that claim has already gone to the trustee. So thank you, former board of directors. Now, as far as the value of this, the reason they did this is because it has incredible value. All right? But going forward, it's important to understand the technology was always stored in the brain center of the founder, and that's me. And we're moving forward with the new team and the new company, and they are working literally 6 days a week, 10, 15 hours a day, and they're all very excited, and you will all be introduced to them very shortly. Okay? It is being recreated with a much improved design and technology that Eddie Huey and others were not only unable and failed to do it on purpose, and we feel that the old self-PO code is currently not that valuable to us, and we will continue to communicate that to the trustee regarding that. So thank you, former fraudulent board of directors. And again, as for the debt, as we stated, is highly and overly exaggerated. I do want to say that the total amount went from about $4 million overall, which was on a monthly basis, $60,000 to $70,000, and as NASA stated, it was very manageable, which it was, but they decided they had another ulterior motive and another agenda, and that was stated to you in February, but remember in January, they had already formed GLB 2019. Which means, well, you all know what that means. It was all premeditated.
Come on, Gary.
So, sorry about that. There was some background voices coming in. Again, this is not only being done for your benefit, it's being done for the benefit of our adversaries, and we want them to know right now what they're facing. Okay? Now, as far as the debt is concerned as well, in April, as you're aware, because they just stated this whole thing about debt and how it was my fault. They added $700,000 from John Nimmer which was completely bogus. There was no invoice. They were not invoiced, and there was no money owed to John Immer. They upped and decided to give away a $700,000 promissory note to do one thing: add to the debt and blame it on me. They added another $1 million to the debt by adding $80,000 to $100,000 per board member in the bankruptcy filing. That's another $1 million. So right there's $1,700,000 added, which is completely bogus. And by the way, Eddie and Master were taking out tens of thousands of dollars after they filed the bankruptcy and first sought it on March 6th. The Jaguars were listed as $5,000 on the February financial webinar, and they represented that it was being paid in the manner that was being presented for the company to go public, and yet they stopped paying the Jaguars, and then the Jaguars took a case and defaulted against the company, and that's what Massa and the board wanted to happen. End of story. They exaggerated it. The total amount more than doubled in the short time that Massa took over the company, and in their own language was very manageable. They failed to make creditor payments on purpose, adding to the damage claims, and instead paid themselves very high fees to help destroy the company. As for the SEC issue, I signed a consent decree that neither admitted nor denied the allegations. And that's what they are, and that's what they were. They were allegations, and I signed that consent decree on the advice of Abe Pafford, who turned out to be the architect of this scheme, along with Eddie and Massa. That's correct. They're all getting sued. And that's important for you to understand. And furthermore, they just wrote something completely outrageous, that on January 24th, someone's getting sentenced in front of a federal court. If that's not true, that's a massive slander and defamation of character. And in fact, no one is being sentenced on January 24th at all. That's a massive, incredible lie that they're going to pay for out of their own pockets in front of a federal judge. It's despicable. And myself and my attorneys, we are bringing a massive slander and defamation suit on behalf of myself against all of them, and that is not the committee, that's myself. Now, another point is, as for the bidding of certain assets for the rights for the derivative suit against them, the GEM Shareholder Action Committee members won this with our $76,000 bid. In addition, we won the rights to all books, records, agreements, and company assets that we were attempting to retain. And we, right now, are in the process of collecting them. We're working with the trustee and the attorney for the trustee. There were no other shareholder monies involved whatsoever, except for the members of the equity shareholders that are on record with the court. But the board, again, advised you in writing something that was completely not true, and this was very important for us to win, and now we have the access to many records and documents that will be used against them in the litigation that is being brought forward against them for the benefit of the shareholders that are protecting themselves moving forward into the new company. As for the bidding for any litigation against any professionals and counsel associated with Massa and his group, by the way, we are getting all the attorney-client privileged emails between all of the lawyers and them, which they never thought was possible, but that's now a federal court order. We already won in part the right to do this because they stated and wrote in documents that most of them were considered, talking about the lawyers, Massa stated and wrote and put into the presentations that they were considered part of the management team who we will now be going after in our derivative suit and other suits. It should be clear to all as to why Massa and this group created their GOB 2019 group last January in their scheme to steal the assets of GEM and remove the creditors and shareholders for their personal greed. There was no problem with the debt. You heard it for yourself. You have all the documentation. But yet they are looking for the fall guy and they're looking for other people to blame. They can look in the mirror because that's where the blame is. As we stated in our last call and email, the Action Committee members have deemed January 15th, 2020 as the final deadline for the shareholders to contribute to the legal defense fund, which has been utilized to put us in this winning position. We are going forward. They are not. And again, there will be much more regarding the new company in the next couple of weeks. But at the end of the day, after the 15th, any past investors that have not contributed will be removed from shareholder updates from the committee and will receive what James Massa and the board of directors promised for them. They destroyed GEM. We're moving forward. And the shareholders that choose not to protect their investments by moving forward, that's your choice. They will not have an interest in the new company going forward, and that's just the bottom line. We are going after them, lock, stock, and barrel, for all of their frauds that they have committed, all of their lies, and everything is in videos, recordings, witnesses, and we're ready. You have the address. You have all the information. And that's the bottom line. We have received overwhelming response from the shareholders, and that is also the bottom line. I hope that we were able to answer some questions today. If there are any more, you can ask them in email form to gemshareholders@gmail.com. And we are done with this call for today. The shareholders are lining up for the federal securities fraud suit. David Schrader will be contacting the shareholders over the next week or so on that matter, and the derivative suit is being drawn up right now. Everyone have a great day and weekend. We won and they lost. That's the bottom line. Congratulations to the shareholders that are moving forward. And once again, thank you. Have yourself a great day. Speak to you soon.